All right. Good morning, guys. So today we have a kind of busier day than yesterday. We are on our second week of our refugee unit. And so essentially what that is going to be looking like is, I'll present my screen here in a second. Okay, so we'll have a read aloud. We'll be introducing our vocab words that are associated with this week. So essentially all you have to do is click on these links and then practice on Quizlet just like we did last week. And then for our second week of refugees, we're all like focusing on the focus question of who is it that you can trust when your life is at stake? And that I think really connects very well with our read aloud book with Nadia and trying to think like who is she able to trust Amo Mason when she has her life at stake here. So that kind of connects with Aloud and Gabriel's story. So we're really focusing on this question this week. And what you're going to be doing is there is one PDF that you have to read. It's called The Trek. And essentially the trek means it's like the journey. So we're getting into the second stage of what it's like to be a refugee. When you're done reading it, you're going to do a Flipgrid video. And with the Flipgrid video, what you are answering is this question right here. And that is, what were some of the dangers and obstacles that Alola and Gabriel's small group had to confront when they fled their burning village? So you're really focusing on answering what were some obstacles and dangers they faced and trying to give a couple. Not only do I want you to do like an original video post answering that question, but I want to see how you guys do with this part here. So in Flipgrid, you're able to comment on other people's videos by making a video reply. And so what I would like you to do is make a video reply to at least one other person's Flipgrid video and building on their ideas and thoughts. It's not just, I agree, add on to it. Why is it that you agree? Is there any other ideas to consider that might strengthen why you agree? Or why is it that you disagree? Explain your thinking. So I'm looking for you to at least make one video reply on someone else's. But otherwise, that's it for social studies. So read, Flipgrid, video reply, and then practicing vocab. So it's a pretty relaxed day today. Tomorrow it is a little bit more. But if you are stressing about tomorrow's workload, you can always work ahead, or you can email me and we can figure something else out for you. All right. So we are, I hope, does anyone have any questions on that quick? Okay. If you do, please do not hesitate to email me, video chat with me, do a Google Hangout chat with me or whatever. It doesn't matter. And I can always help you walk through this unit if you ever need some help, okay? Today, we are going to only read one chapter, and it is chapter 18. No other extra activities needed, no discussion, question, no quiz or whatnot. So all we're doing is we have to listen and pay attention and build our thinking, okay? So we left off with Nadia and Basel, the little boy, going into this weird like basement cellar type thing with Rashid. Yeah, Rashid. And Rashid is the old man with like an eye patch that responded to the, what is it? That like candle signal that Amo Mason set out. And one of the things you guys had to talk about with your Google Forms yesterday was what can we infer about like this whole mission thing that Amo Mason does for Rashid. So it had a huge mystery component to it. So we are going to pick up from there. They're just going into like this basement cellar with Rashid, and Mazen is going to do one last mission. So I'm kind of curious what this is all about. All right. So chapter 18, October 11th, 2013, 12:03 a.m. So right after midnight. Come in, said Rashid. Nadia stumbled in beside Basal, Mazen behind them. Light sparkled from the ceiling, powered by a small generator humming in a corner. People rushed to and fro carrying boxes and bags, or sat hunkered over a line of tables that stretched the length of the room. A group of dusty statues with missing heads, arms, and legs stood in one section, paintings in another, stacked carefully. Pretty, muttered Basal, bringing Nadia's attention to a three-legged bronze stag he was examining. Propped next to it lay a jewel-toned mosaic of a man wearing a laurel wreath on his dark curls. Basal moved to take a closer look at how the small glass tiles had been cleverly put together to create a lifelike image. Rashid, I thought you were staying home tonight, called a bird-like woman with silver hair, hurrying towards them. Brother Mazen, salam. What a wonderful surprise. Walaikum, assalam, Sister Layla, said Mazen with a weary smile. You have lost weight since we last saw you, she said, examining him with concern. Have you? Mazen gently cut in. Yes, I have. Food is scarce after all, and there's so much work to be done. Yes, you are right, said Layla, a frown on her lips. So the fact that even this woman, is recognizing that he's not looking so good, kind of is saying something not so, like something's really not good with him. Like he must be extremely sick. We know that he takes like these weird little blue pills, that he's constantly looking fatigued. And now the fact that it looks like he's lost weight makes me wonder like what kind of illness or sickness he has. And what was it? I'm kind of inferring and wondering, like, because of all these signs, that he's going to probably maybe die on this journey to help Nadia find her father. That's just my thoughts. If you have any other ideas, you can drop a comment. Okay. It was lucky indeed that your husband was home and brought us to your new location, said Mazen, smiling. We had to move, sighed Layla. We learned from sources that the old location was to be raided. Months of work would have been lost. Mazen's face darkened. Thugs. Our country has been overrun by ruthless thugs from every side. So here they're talking about, remember how I said in the very beginning when we started this book, the government is bad and there's also rebels that are bad. That's what they're talking about. Both sides have like not so good people to it. I think it really just depends with the rebels, what group they're referring to. Yes, sadly, I must agree with you, said Layla, turning toward Nadia and Basal. And who are these young guests? She asked. As we know, life moves in mysterious ways, replied Mazen. This is Nadia and Basal, and they have been put in my care. And in turn, they have been a great help to me. I wonder what kind of help he's thinking of. Like, I don't know. I'm curious. Layla winked. You are lucky you found your ever-resourceful brother Mazen. Nadia glanced at the old man, wondering again who he was. She also felt a tinge of resentment for having been used as a shield. back at the checkpoint. At least it worked, she conceded grudgingly. What is this place? Bazell bursted out. Lila laughed, eyeing his fatigues. My young soldier, this is the place where we are fighting a great battle. Our network of helpers collects historical treasures so that we can protect them before they can be destroyed, stolen, or carted off to be sold on the black market. Okay, really sorry. I'm really bad at this. So it sounds like these people, their missions are to go collect historical artifacts or like historical items, such as like old paintings, something that has some sort of historical element to Syria, to kind of protect it, because with this war going on, they could be destroyed and you can never get the history back. And because that's what they're doing, if you are someone that has read Salt to the Sea, and what's the boy's name? The young boy, not like the young boy, like the teenage boy who worked as an apprentice, an art apprentice. That is what it's making me connect and think of, is how they would protect historical treasures so that Hitler wouldn't take them and either destroy them or ruin them, that kind of thing. So there's just some things with that I'm making connections with. Sorry, I will continue. This, said Amo Mason, great affection in his voice, is Professor Laila Safi. She ran the archaeology department at the university and is now leading a heroic effort to preserve our country. To preserve our country's history, sorry. Am I her assistant and husband? Said Rashid, smiling. Assistant indeed, admonished Lila. You are the proprietor of the most successful bookstore in the city. Those days are past, sighed Rashid. The bookshop is gone. Inshallah, God willing, they will come again, said Layla, squeezing his hand. She turned to Amo Mason, her face grave. I've heard news that 40% of the city's ancient landmarks have been damaged or destroyed since the war began. 40%? Thought Nadia, shocked. That means nearly half. Most of the museums in the country and all 6 of Syria's World Heritage Sites have been affected in one way or another. She continued, it makes the work we are doing all the more important. The one blessing in this catastrophe is that the mutual love for our history and art has both sides of the war working together, said Rashid. We just learned that rebel-friendly archaeologists and locals of Idlib brokered an agreement with the army to put valuable artifacts behind a thick layer of concrete in the local museum, that way sealing it off. Good news indeed, said Amo Mason, nodding. Were you able to get the items that we were after? Lila asked. Yes, my contact in the Syrian army told me where to recover most of them, replied Amo Mason, except for the Aramaic scrolls, sorry. They were taken by thieves before I could even get a hold of them. Nadia stared at him in surprise. Contact with the Syrian army? That's too bad, said Layla. Everything else in this cart, with some help, I can fetch them. Everything else is in this cart, and with some help I can fetch them, said Amo Mason. Jamal, Layla called out to a bearded young man packing up a crate with hay. Please help, Sir Mason. I'll be gone in a few minutes, Amo Mason whispered to Nadia before leaving. How is Ilea's? Rashid asked his wife as he moved toward a large cardboard box sitting a few feet away. The box, Nadia noticed with surprise, was swaying from side to side. Lila shared a worried look with her husband. He's okay as long as he's in there with his books. Nadia inched closer, Basel at her heels. Suddenly, the box was beginning to shake. I wonder if it's the cat somehow got into it or something. I don't know. Would you like something to eat? Asked Layla, bending over the box. A dark head popped up, accompanied by a loud, "No!" Okay, guess it wasn't the cat. It was a boy, Nadia realized, older than her, maybe 14. She caught sight of curly hair, tan cheeks, and round, dark eyes. The head disappeared when a book came up to hide it. It was a canopy of Shakespeare's Macbeth. Her husband's to Aleppo gone, master to Oath Tiger. He kept repeating over and over again. Is he okay? Asked Basel. Yes, dear, said Layla. This is our grandson. He had a very rough time of it since the war started. He doesn't like loud noises and interruptions to his routine, which are now common with the war. Being in the box with his books makes him feel better, so it's like his security blanket. As the professor turned to speak with her husband, Nadia pulled Basel back, wanting to give him some privacy. Finally, she let Mishmish out of the bag so that he could stretch his legs. A girl, barely a teen, gave them a smile as she passed, carrying a stack of old newspapers to the table. Basel grabbed Nadia's hand and pulled her down an aisle. She was just as fascinated by the activity around them as he was. They paused at a table to watch a woman in a paisley scarf open an old shoebox with gloved hands. Beneath strips of newspaper inside lay a reddish-brown rock. The woman's eyes widened and she pushed aside the remaining paper. Ya Allah! She cried, pausing a lull in the steady hum of the room. What is it? Said Layla, hurrying over. I think it is one of Ebla's tablets, she whispered. Ebla, thought Nadia. She'd seen them before at the National Museum of Aleppo while on a field trip with her class. You're right, said Layla. The others piled around. Priceless, she whispered. Or whispered a bespectacled man with thinning gray hair. So Ebla, Ebla, must be some sort of like really rare historical artifact for Syria. It looks like a piece of dried dirt, muttered Basel, elbowing through to peer at it more closely. Why is it so special? Nadia poked him in the back, mortified by his rudeness. Ow, he muttered. A very good question, said Layla with a smile. This tablet, one of thousands, was found in the ancient city of Ebla. Oh, so Ebla is a city just south of here. The Sumerian text provides evidence that nearly 5,000 years ago, a rich civilization had flourished there, perhaps the first recorded world power, equal to that of Egypt or Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia is very similar to like Mesoamerica for us, very ancient tribes, ancient civilizations, but in the eastern part of our world hemisphere instead of the western. You guys get to study about that next year in middle school. Super fun. But these were housed in the National Museum near the old city, said the woman. Lila pursed her lips. Last I heard, the staff at the museum had locked up the building and taken up arms to protect whatever remains. Many items were taken to Damascus for safekeeping, but things probably went missing. Probably because people weren't loyal and sold stuff and didn't truly protect it in order to gain some money. Nadia wanted to hear more, but Basel had dragged her to another table where a woman used a set of tweezers to delicately pluck bits of straw from a strange-looking device that resembled a clock. "What's that?" Basel asked, staring at its intricate metal designs. "It's a mariner's astrolabe." I'm sorry. Astrolabe? Astrolabe? I'll have to look that up and put a video in, or a picture. I'm not sure what that is. She said, "Sailors used it to figure out the positions of the stars and sun to help navigate the sea." Oh, okay. "Wow," muttered Basel, like Sinbad the sailor. Nadia rolled her eyes, but the woman just laughed. "I'm sure he used one just like this." As Nadia chatted with Basel, Nadia peered over. I'm sorry. As the woman chatted with Basel, Nadia peered over at the man examining a handful of coins. "Head of Seleucus, general under Alexander the Great, Greek in origin," he muttered while nudging the coin to a corner. "Zenobia, Palmyra's 3rd century Syrian queen who revolted against the Roman Empire," he mumbled. "Wow," thought Nadia, squinting down at the next coin and seeing a familiar aquiline profile stamped in silver. "Salahadin," she whispered. "It's Salahadin." "Very good," said the man, looking up at her. "There is one just like this on display in room 34 at the British Museum in London. I saw it when I was there many summers ago," he added sadly. "Is it rare?" she asked. "Very," said the man, handing it to her. Nadia cradled it in her palm, the cool metal warming as it touched her skin. "However, whenever I hold such ancient things, I get the sensation that they have a spirit and a soul. Losing them feels like losing a person." So it kind of shows you how much history means to them. These artifacts mean to them. A shiver ran down Nadia's spine as she read the date. 1184. 2 years after Salahadin entered Aleppo, after conquering most of the Middle East, he said. But unlike our leaders today, who loot, pillage, and kill, he was true and a just leader. When he drove European crusaders from the holy city of Jerusalem, he did not kill Christians or Jews. He allowed them to leave peacefully or to stay while preserving the places of worship. Nadia stared at the image of the warrior king, befuddled by the myriad of emotions rushing through her. She'd heard about the looting of artifacts, but this was the first time that she's seen it firsthand. She had lost so much because of the war. Her old life, her family, the luxuries that she's taken for granted. She hadn't even thought about Aleppo, what her beloved city had lost, and was still losing. "Can we help?" she asked. The man grinned. "Of course. We need packaging materials." He showed her and Basel how to rip strips of newspaper and crumple them so that they could be used to cushion the artifacts in their boxes. They had built a pile by the time that Amo Mason had returned, perspiration beading his forehead as he carried books from his cart. His bearded young assistant stacked them on a table across from Nadia and Basel. Understanding dawned within Nadia as she examined the book titles. Kitab al-Tasrif by a medieval Arab surgeon, Abul Qasis, Katib Shalabi's 17th century Islamic atlas, and other rare books of poetry, history, and science, and mathematics. She stared at the old man. "He's not just a book repairer. It breaks my heart, said Rashid, caressing the cover of a faded volume. For centuries, Aleppo was a center for literature. The first Arabic novel was printed here. Gahabat al-Haq, or The Forest of Truth. Now that's an irony, said the bearded young man, laughing without humor. The author, Francis Marash, wrote about liberty and freedom, both of which Syria lacks. Well, does it matter? Muttered Rashid. No one reads anymore. All they do is watch those silly soap operas and play games on their phones. Nadia blushed, ducking her head. Because she's guilty of it too. Once there was a bookstore on every other street offering the latest books from Beirut, Cairo, and Damascus. And now they've been converted into mobile phone shops, said the bearded young man, earning a grimace from Rashid. Sadly, you're right, wheezed Amal Mazen. I'm surprised Nadia didn't offer to carry the books for him, because it sounds like he is struggling majorly right now on just breathing. He said before collapsing on a chair, face ashen. From his pocket, he extracted the familiar brown bottle. But when he tipped it over, nothing came out. Remember, he used his last one already? About to speak, Rashid stopped short when he spotted a tall, slim book with gilded edges. Oh my goodness, he exclaimed. Is that really Aleph Layla? Startled, Nadia paused at the middle of ripping paper and looked up at them. Amal Mazen nodded. The very one. I believe it's a copy of the 14th century manuscript that Antony Galland based his French translations on. My goodness, this is quite a find, said Rashid, flipping it open. We're lucky you got a hold of these books before they ended up in Jordan, Turkey, or London, sold off to the highest bidder, lost forever, said Layla, joining them, carrying a glass of water for Amal Mazen. As the men talked, Nadia eyed the book that had kept her company over the past day, and a sense of loss was spreading through her. Don't be stupid. It's just a book. She echoed a mocking voice in her head. Her eyes met Amal Mazen, and she looked away. So that must be a very, very, very rare book that she was reading, just alone to herself and to Basal. And I have a bad feeling that she can't read it anymore and that it has to stay because of how rare it is. And I'm wondering if she was taking those stories as her own, like, security blanket on this journey. Where are you taking the kids? Asked Layla, the girl to Turkey and the boy to his grandfather, said Amal Mazen. Are you well? She asked, her voice falling an octave. As well as can be with old age and a war constantly over our heads, he replied. He's totally gonna die. And it's gonna be so sad. I'm as far as you guys, and I just feel like he's not gonna make it on this journey. We are slightly, a little bit over halfway through. And that just makes me so sad. I don't want Amo to die, even though he's sketchy. I just don't want him to die. What are you guys thinking? He doesn't have his little blue pills anymore, which I don't know what they were doing. And then he's wheezing and he has this huge journey ahead of him. He can't breathe all the time. I don't know. It just is making me very nervous and sad.